Oh my God, we're doing a video. We're doing a video. Welcome to Cafe HonesTea. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Of course, I'm Ebony Williams. This is my amazing, beautiful, talented, and everything else in the universe, best friend, Alicia.
Hi.
Hi. So you guys loved the last podcast we did, and I was like, of course, I feel like she's gonna be on all of them from now on. We're not as lit as we were last time.
Yes, we're trying to be a little more composed. Well, I am anyhow.
You're doing great. I mean, we just started, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Shout out to the Shoppers Outlet for this amazing mug. That's beautiful.
And bad news.
For her amazing mug. Yes. Because it's absolutely beautiful. So, we ended the last one with something I definitely wanted to touch on. Because we're going to need a little sip for this one. Is how you're handling not only the pandemic, but what was going on with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, because you have 3 beautiful chocolate babies.
Amazing little chocolate babies.
Yeah, so like, how was that for you? Because you guys were marching, there were signs. Like, did you have to have like a conversation with them?
We had many conversations. And it was a very heart-wrenching time.
Yeah.
I know there was a lot of nights we had crying together, educating ourselves on what's happening, preparing them for this world that we're in, which we talked about before.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all really crazy, and they really wanted to be involved, like little activists.
They are activists. They are very outspoken little activists, I will say.
We all know the world we live in, so we were all really prepared and kind of just wanted to get out there and have our voices be heard. And initially it was kind of scary and confronting for them. I recall the weekend that everything kind of popped off. I left them with their dad because they live out in the suburbs. So after it calmed down a bit, that initial weekend, went and got them and then told them what was going on. They'd seen on the news and stuff, and we drove into Hollywood. There was a big protest happening, and like right as we pulled up, cops just started coming down Hollywood Boulevard. At least 20 of them, big SUVs and stuff. And Dante freaked out. He started crying. He was like, we gotta go. Like, no, like he didn't feel safe. But I calmed him down, and we kind of sat back and watched what was going on. And then for the next few days, we were out there marching with our signs.
Their signs are so freaking cute.
Yeah. They drew a lot of attention. Actually, the signs that we made, we painted them onto canvases so that they'll be able to keep them and, you know, have the story to tell, because it's a big deal. It's like the LA riots back in the day. Yeah. It's like monumental.
Consciousness are always on like their phone, and it's like here. So it's almost like they're seeing things, they can read things, they're listening to things. And I'm just like, I'm thinking of everything that's happening, and I'm like, man, right now, what to have kids would be for me, I feel like would be difficult, because like, how can you
so scary.
Navigate this? How do you have this conversation?
You just have to step by step go day by day with it all. And unfortunately, they've had little situations at school with racism and stuff. As young as they are, they've each had their own experiences with it. So to be out there and having our voices heard, and
I'm saying goodbye to Frankie. Frankie, you want to say hi?
What up?
Papa. You can't see him, but he's gorgeous. He's fabulous, and he's sneaking out of here like a one-night stand. I'll call you later, though. It was great.
Stay messed up or whatever.
Okay. People just be walking in and out. Their artwork's amazing. Oh, she did this, by the way. It's just beautiful. I'll probably pan up to it at the end so you can see what she fully looks like.
This is actually so interesting that we're talking about this at the moment, because I had started this painting prior to everything. I started this in October of 2019 last year, and this image was in my head for this painting. I didn't know where it was going to end up, but the truth and
all that, because you did it, she's done it like a million times. I feel like every time you would be like almost done, it was something else.
So I couldn't, you were like, where's my painting? I'm like, it's
sitting But I'm in my new place.
It
So
just wasn't, and this painting came through, like, it was there with us through all of this.
Yeah.
this
So she
time.
tells a
It's
story.
very important.
She has a story, and it's beautiful. If you just paid attention to what was going on throughout, end of 2019 through all of 2020 until now, 2021, it's like you can just tell, and it just feels amazing. And her kids are awesome little artists. So we need to get the showcase offerings. I already have some I'm trying to bid on, which is all of them I'm trying to get. I know other people got to buy it too, but no, it's really good. Okay, so we talked about that part, but now what are you doing with 3 kids in the pandemic? How do you keep them?
We've actually been fine.
Yeah.
It was kind of a blessing for us, and we took this opportunity to get creative. Like this painting, I went out and bought the kids' canvases. There's been a lot of times where we haven't been able to go outside or do things. We have found things to do.
Yeah.
So it's been interesting. Yeah, it's been all about getting creative. And
like I find myself with cabin fever, we moved into a new spot. I find myself with cabin fever a little bit, but now it's like where we've traveled a lot. So even like the beginning of 2020, we traveled like every month until July. So we've been gone almost every month until July, and then we'll be gone again in April and a few more stuff. So it's like we're still living our lives. We just got to be a little bit more cautious, but now just trying to find things to do. In LA, it's tough because everything is so indoors.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to go to museums. I want to, do all these shows and arts and stuff like that, but you can't go to it. So now just trying to find stuff outside, but it's cold sometimes, but it like, which is weird coming from Alaska. I'm like, it's cold.
Yeah.
It comes out pretty good. Like we went to the Botanical Garden. And I think bestie, and I forget where.
I just saw that. That looked so nice. We're gonna have to go.
Yes, and that one area where I did that whole panning thing on my Instagram, that's kind of where they shot one of the scenes from Wedding Planner.
Okay,
yeah, where he broke the statue.
Yeah, see, that's a fun thing about LA is you can always go places or do things, and you're like, hey, this movie was made here.
Exactly. And now I know where this is. It's like watching shows growing up. I didn't know how funny it was. Like when I was watching Girlfriends. It's like, okay, you're gonna go from Mulholland to so-and-so in 20 minutes. Like, that's not a thing. Like, you can't get anywhere. And like, unless if you live where I live now in downtown, you can get anywhere in 20 minutes. But I'm like, trying to go from one end, you're not getting there.
It's really cool. I think coming from outside of LA and then moving to LA, and the whole, how everything's integrated into the movies and the TV shows, and you can point out here and there, and this happened here. It's fun.
Exactly. So for what were we watching? Valentine's. We're watching Valentine's Day, which is like Ashton Kutcher and everybody's in it, and he was a florist on one of the things. So he was going through the city, and I'm like, oh, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Actually, plenty of flower trucks have dumped their flowers on this road. I wonder if it's gonna go because of this movie. So it's actually pretty cool. I knew what I was gonna ask before I had a brain fart.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I know there's a major difference. We talked about this on New Year's Eve, but like Australia versus LA or the US.
In what regard? There's so much different. But in regards to what, like specifically? I don't recall the conversation on New Year's Eve. Obviously,
we were so lit on New Year's Eve. I'm telling you, it was just 4 of us, and you would have swore we had a giant house party. Like, we had a lot of fun. Let's see.
Pandemic things.
Pandemic things.
We had to do a pandemic.
We had a pandemic thing. Even though everybody was having parties, there were people having legit parties.
Yes, a lot of people got arrested.
Yeah. And COVID. You got arrested. You either got arrested or COVID if you did all that dumb stuff.
Yeah.
But let's see, something in particular, not just, of course, we don't even have the time to address the level of amazing food. That's the difference. So let's say if this was going on there.
Well, it did spill over to there, and there were protests over there in regards to it. But Sydney's really diverse. Yeah. So I was culture shocked coming here to see all the divided.
Yeah.
Just culture shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so funny, like, even saying this, so when I moved a lot, but when I moved from Alaska to Texas, I didn't know that just moving out of Alaska, period, there's going to be a giant culture shock because growing up in Alaska, I've heard my elementary school was a Japanese immersion elementary school. Like I've heard various languages a day, and I was like, I know various of some languages and stuff like that. Just growing up and being around like food and everything. Yeah. And so when I left and I went to Texas, and I was like, there's like nobody here, and people are like, what? I was like, where is everybody? I'm like, where's all the different races? They're like, oh, there's a Mexican guy there, and I'm like.
It's very divided.
Exactly. It's like black, white, Mexican. I was like, okay. And where I was at, it was very like secluded. Like there really wasn't a lot. And so I remember I had a potluck. It was a church potluck. Like, what do you miss most about Alaska? And I was like, my Samoan people. I miss my Polynesians.
Yeah.
And
I grew up with Polynesians. All my friends and people I consider family are Polynesian.
And I'm like, I miss my Samoan people. Yeah. She thought I meant Samoa cookies. So this girl went and got Samoa Girl Scout cookies from the cupboard. I was like, no, like people. She was looking at me like she had no idea what I was talking about.
What? Like, yeah, she must have just not even known anything about it.
Didn't even know she was Hawaiian. I was like, totally separate people. Like, I was just like trying not to go in. I'm like, all right, I'm in a whole new ball game to being like, it's more than black, white, and Spanish. Yeah. And people don't get that. Even like white is very like, you know, it's like, are you American, are you from, so like people don't
and I think that's like being in big cities, obviously big cities are very diverse, and no matter where you are, if you go out into like the suburbs and stuff, it's always going to be like that. But I just lost my train of thought.
It's okay. There's a lot of great things in this coffee cup. Like I said.
Also, let me just point out that I'm like really trying, and I just said it now. But like my brain is
your ums and lights.
My lights and my cursing. I think I'm doing pretty well.
You did?
I think
you
I'm
haven't
doing.
cursed?
Yeah, I don't think I've cursed. No, I'm trying. So if you hear me pause, it's probably because I was going to say like.
Trying to articulate. She said she needs media training. I think she's doing great. But then I was like in radio where I could kind of say what I wanted. So I'm like, I don't have media training.
I was just talking to a friend of mine who's an actor, and he told me, don't worry, you can curse, you're Australian. Like, exactly. I curse all the time. I don't think you should worry about that on air or in an interview at all. I said, yeah, but I just don't feel like it's very ladylike.
We're in America. Like, whatever.
In a pandemic.
That part. You're allowed to be whatever you want to be during this time. If you made it, if you've had to move in with family during this time.
I wish I could move in with family.
Yeah, but you love yours. A lot of people don't love theirs, and they're forced. They're forced to do that.
I love them from afar. Let me tell you, it'd probably be a different story if we were all in the same city. I probably wouldn't be. So.
I had a friend who had to move. It just makes me so sad. She had to move. She moved back in with her parents, right? But her parents didn't tell her that her aunt moved in from the mother's side and the uncle from the dad's side and both sets of grandparents. So she had no idea. She thought she was gonna get
in LA?
Yeah, she's like in Reseda.
Okay.
Yeah, like that's north, I think. Yeah.
Holy
and I was like,
cow.
so she thought in her 3-bedroom house she was gonna be able to get her own room back, but she has cousins, aunts, uncles, and both sets of grandparents.
Oh no.
I was like,
yeah.
And then when I moved into here, a lot of people were like, oh, you have a 2-bedroom? Like, you have a 2-bedroom? I said, no.
A 2-bedroom, okay.
Like, well, we don't, actually. We don't have space. Even if we did, I'd be like, that's a storage closet. Like, there's nothing with a bathroom. That's what I would say. Like, not at all. I pretend like my phone is being disconnected, and I just, like, I'm not, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling Ash and I were talking about this. Like, I don't think LA would handle another summer on a lockdown.
No, I don't think so.
Because they're already opening everything else.
It doesn't make sense to me either, because when we first initially went into lockdown, you know, everything was locked down and the stores were shut, and we had to stay inside for, what was it, like a few weeks or something. Now we're in the highest point of the pandemic and everything's still open and people do have some freedom, even though they're telling us to stay at home.
That part.
But no.
I feel like you have to pay. You have to pay people. You have to do rent freezes.
Yeah.
You have to do loan freezes. Like everything, like
Let
all
me
the
tell
bills
you.
have to be on a freeze.
Yeah.
And give us money
Yeah.
so we can kind of sustain ourselves in
Yeah.
order for this to happen. Otherwise, not.
EDD
People aren't gonna do it.
is fucked. Let me just say that. I can say it's
You
fucked.
can say it's fucked because it is.
Like they've got so much issues with the system
Yes.
that they've just completely shut down payments for a lot of people. The crime rate has shot up in I live in Hollywood, so
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
going berserk at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's because everything's still moving forward as far as rent and everything else. People need to eat. People
Yeah.
have children. We need to survive.
Yeah.
And there's no EDD payments going out.
That part.
And it's December, it's been Christmas, it's a new year. It's so crazy.
Exactly.
It's so crazy.
And most people that had like payment that you can kind of hold off on your payments
Yeah.
and stuff, it's now kicking back in.
Yeah.
So it's like, it might seem good that, okay, oh my God, I don't have to pay this during this time, but it's just tacked on the back of your loan, and you probably have some amazing interest included into that.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
They're saying
It's
something
psycho.
like 4 million people are
Yeah.
facing eviction in
Yeah.
the next couple of months. How is that going to look? Because
uh,
there's already a serious homelessness.
it's ridiculous. And they're just like
Situation.
busing people. I have a friend who lives in San Diego, and she was like, she feels like that they're busing homeless people from here to there, dropping them off in the middle of the night.
Really?
And I was like, I remember seeing that like a few years ago when I saw her. It was like a busload just like dumped off a whole bunch of people in downtown San Diego, and then they like drove away. And then it was like this whole hepatitis thing kind
Oh
of
my
went up.
gosh.
And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised because like
Yeah.
you gotta help your people if you want it to happen. So if Camilla and Biden are gonna do what they say they're gonna do with however much they're trying to get everybody, you can have a successful lockdown if you follow the footsteps of other countries. But America doesn't want to admit that they're not great, and they don't want to follow anybody.
How can you have a lockdown and people are still owing rent? It's not going to work. Even if they've given us a period to where you don't have to pay it right now, but this is going to, once the pandemic's over, you're going to owe all this money.
That part.
No, people were already struggling.
That part. Like you need to forgive and let live.
Yeah.
Loan forgiveness for everybody. Rent forgiveness. Just
I think they've
cancel
done
it
that
all
in some
out.
other countries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have. But they care.
And here we are.
Drinking from our coffee cups.
It's bad news.
Cheers. That's bad news. Cheers. Oh wait, we're gonna wrap up that one for now because on the next one, someone asked me because she's an amazing, beautiful radio intern. She's doing a lot of great things. I'm helping coach her. She landed a gig, and one of the girls at the station is a giant bully. And she wants to know how to deal with workplace bullies. I've had plenty of them. Workplace bullies, peers. We gotta talk about that. And then we started to watch this show. I wrote it down because I know I'm gonna want to say this. Dating apps. What is it?
Oh,
Dating
yeah.
app horrors. The untold story. It's on Hulu.
Let's go.
It's Cafe HonesTea. I'm Ebony Williams. You can follow me here.
Is something going to pop up?
I'm gonna pop it up there. You gotta say your name. Oh, it's Alicia. You can follow
I
her
see
here.
royalty.
There you go. You can follow her here.